To the average student, the campus library and performing arts center are just features of the university. However, 30 years ago, things were different. The library was in Wells Hall, and the Performing Arts Theater was annexed to the administration building. But on July 24, 1979, everything changed. No one knew it at the time, but Northwest would never be the same. It started out like any normal day. Students were finishing summer classes, and the fall semester was right around the corner. The administration building had just gone through renovations, and it was now home to KXCV and KDLX radio. Now the station manager at KTIC Radio in West Point, Nebraska, Dwight Lane was working in the radio station the night the fire unfolded.
It was pretty hot, clear day, and got in around 5 o'clock. And did what I usually do, is walk around the TV station into the two radio stations. But I walked out into a sound lock, a corridor, where there was KXCV, KDLX, and then two little production studios. And I stepped in, lights were off, and I looked up and there's a vent, and I could just see a little bit of smoke, almost like a cigarette puff. And I went, uh-oh.
Emergency vehicles began to arrive, and it appeared the fire was contained to the 4th floor. In an effort to save as many things as possible, Northwest President B.D. Owens and several other faculty members ran inside.
I thought, I got valuable records in there. I've got to get those out of my office, and board records, things like that. So I even started going in the east door and pulling stuff out, and we broke a window, and I was throwing them out, and people out on the, were catching them outside. Mm-hmm. And then the registrar's office started doing that, and they were just throwing records out of the registrar's office.
The fire grew stronger and began spreading into the West Wing and Deer Wester Theater. Despite assistance from nearby districts and several volunteers, the Maryville Fire Department could only fight the fire from the ground. To make matters worse, one fire truck sank in the mud just a few yards from the 72-year-old structure. Sod that covered an old road had been laid just days earlier. As everyone waited for the St. Joseph Fire Department to arrive, all they could do was watch a campus landmark burn.
You could walk around the crowd and see people crying. You could see the tears in their eyes reflecting in the fire.
The intense heat became too much for the theater structure to take. Without warning, the walls began to collapse. Now the publisher of the Carrollton Democrat in Carrollton, Missouri, former Northwest Missourian photo editor Frank Mercer, captured this shot as the walls of the theater came crashing down.
As a matter of fact, when the walls fell out of the theater, that was just unbelievable, to actually have it cave out like it did. The roof collapsed earlier, and then the sides come out.
Finally, assistance arrived from St. Joseph. The taller ladders allowed firefighters to contain the blaze to the West Wing and halt it from spreading. When the smoke cleared and the fire was out, 60% of the building was damaged. Out of the many things lost in the fire, theater professor Theo Ross, who was in his first year of teaching at Northwest, lost his dissertation.
So I had been working on the final drafts and some edits that first year, and had then been working on it both in my office and at home during the summer. And fortunately that evening I did take a draft of the material I had home with me. And so at the time of the fire I had a draft, but all of my other research, the books I'd acquired. I had done some oral history and received some letters from people who were involved in the Federal Theater Project, which is the topic of my dissertation. And so there was a lot of original and literally irreplaceable things in the office, and they were all lost. I think I was the only faculty member to have lost completely everything.